Welcome to Palm Bay Live, celebrating 1 year in business.
I just want to take this opportunity Kevin's given me to say thank you. Thank you for instilling a trust in me, to selecting me, choosing me to be the next mayor of this great city we call Palm Bay. I really appreciate the opportunity. I won't let you down. I'll serve you through God, honor, and integrity. May God bless you. May God keep you. May God continue to bless our great city, Palm Bay. Hoorah.
My son just got his first. Well, I guess it wasn't his first. It's his first newer truck that he got. It's a F-150 Limited.
Oh.
And I can't believe the price he paid for that truck.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous. And but what a beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like a Cadillac on the inside.
Yeah. Does he drive a lot?
No, not really. He does. It's funny you mentioned the 3D printing thing. He does like 3D printing stuff for the old MC Assembly and Test. I think it's called have a new. They changed their name. I can't remember the name.
I know what you're talking about though. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Circuit board type stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
But he loves the he loves the truck, and it's got every bell and whistle.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, something went wrong with it. They did an update, and it started kind of shifting funny or something like that ever since that update.
Yeah.
And he complained about it, and they put in a brand new transmission. And it literally, they did it in just like a few days or something like that. I mean, they did it. It was amazing. I thought they were going to have it for like a week or something.
Yeah. And traditionally, it was like that. And what we're trying to do is, especially folks that spend such a healthy sum, and you have such trouble so short term, we want to do something quick for you. Even if it's a little more expensive for us, it's worth it. Because then you're going to say, hey, listen, I had trouble with 3,000 miles, but they get back to me in 3 days with a brand new transmission.
Yeah.
And you're going to tell your friends that story, and now they're going to come by it. So it's worth the money because you get a friend to come back.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And it's only been with really the launch of the new F-150 that has the OTA updates and stuff that we shifted the focus to do that more. So with those vehicles, and actually we kind of started it and piloted it with our commercial customers first because it's really important to them when they buy a new Super Duty. That's a piece of equipment the day it hits the ground, right?
Yep.
The money that each unit is able to generate for them in whatever capacity it serves them, pays for the truck in like a week. Any day that it's down is so significant to them.
Lost revenue,
Right. So we started with them, and then we moved it into the F-150, and we're expanding vehicle line. So it's exciting.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to start the Planning and Zoning Board special meeting. We'll have the roll call, please. Chandra?
Yes, Mr. Borma,
Present.
Mr. Good,
Present.
Ms. Jordan,
Present.
Ms. Mirage,
Present.
Mr. Olszewski,
Present.
Mr. Warner,
Present.
Mr. Weinberg,
Present.
Mr. Carafa.
Present.
Our Deputy City Attorney, Eric Messenger, is present. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. Don Burmer, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, our first case is CP 13-2022. If staff would present the case, please. And if you don't, and if you haven't turned off your cell phones, please do so.
Good evening, board members. For our first case tonight, we have CP-13-2022, a large-scale comprehensive plan amendment. This is located south of Bayside Lakes Boulevard Southeast and east of Cogan Drive Southeast. It is for approximately 190.5 acres in land. The current future land uses are rural single family and multiple family residential. The current zoning district is general use. The applicant is requesting to change the future land use from rural single family to single family residential. According to our comprehensive plan, we have several different comprehensive plan goals. Sorry about that, everyone. Several different comprehensive plan goals that may affiliate with this that we would like for the board to consider. The first is the comprehensive plan future land use element goal number 1, which is to ensure a high quality, diversified living environment. Goal 2 is to provide for and maintain viable neighborhoods. Goal 8 is to provide for a diverse and self-sustaining pattern of land uses. Goal 9 is to create large-scale sustainable mixed-use communities. And Goal 12 is to discourage urban sprawl. Staff recommendation at this time. Unfortunately, staff is unable to make a direct recommendation for case CP 13-2022 due to discrepancies in the future land use designations. In particular, they had requested to move from rural single-family residential to single-family residential. However, there are 2 different future land uses associated with this property, both rural single-family as well as multiple family residential. So there was a slight incorrect error on the application set forth for their request, which is one of the reasons why we were unable to make a recommendation on the analysis that we had conducted, because of the fact that it was associated with their request as single family and not both single family and multifamily. Or sorry, rural single family and multifamily. And then the second portion of this is that the boundaries associated with the comprehensive plan amendment are about approximately 190.56 acres. And this comprehensive plan does have a coinciding preliminary development plan associated with it through a PUD requested zoning district. And the district currently is only encompassing 179.6 acres of that 190.56 acres. So because of that, we do have questions on the extent of the zoning district and where those boundaries are going to lie, as this is a single parcel. This is not several different parcels, so there is no clear-cut delineation of where those boundaries would be. And because of that, we would require some sort of lot split or reconfiguration to align those boundaries. So at this time, staff is requesting an action by the Planning and Zoning Board to make a recommendation for case CP 13-2022 to City Council. Staff is available for any questions, and I do not believe the applicant is here tonight.
No, for everyone's information, the applicant is not in attendance. Just to let you know also that there was 180 correspondence sent into the city and a petition with 343 signatures. For the benefit of the applicant and the audience, the Planning and Zoning Board is an advisory board comprised of unpaid volunteers. The staff has presented the case. Due to the fact the applicant is not in attendance, we will open the floor for a presentation from people against this petition. So we will be starting with, oh, I'm sorry. Are there any questions for staff from the board?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. Thank you very much. Sir, if the staff is unable to make a recommendation at this time based upon this application, how can the Planning and Zoning Board act on it? How can we make a recommendation to council, considering council is going to ask you your opinion and you haven't had the chance to formulate one yet?
That is a great question. We did not feel comfortable going forward with a pro or con situation for this application due to the fact that those boundaries did not meet. Unfortunately, we are not in a position where we have to adhere to an approval or disapproval situation for our recommendations. We are putting forth an analysis for the recommending body itself. So as the land planning agency, you're the voting body to make that recommendation. We just put forward the analysis to give you information on how to make that type of end result for your determination of how you'd like to vote.
Thank you for that, sir. A brief follow-up, if I may, is the construct of when an application should come before this board, is the application being 100% complete a prerequisite for it to come to this board? Because it seems to me as though we have an incomplete application before us.
That is a great question. So the applicant can at any time continue to move forward with their request once they have initiated one, if it had been deemed sufficient in the early process of having enough just basic materials. And when we say basic materials, that means each document had a name associated with it that corresponded with a specific title that we needed. Then during the review process, we analyze that material to make sure it does coincide with the code or the future land use portion of the comprehensive plan. And at both those times, that's when we identified deviations. And we did identify the applicant through our staff report 1 week prior to this meeting, as we do on traditional time periods. So we always produce it 1 week prior. In this case, it was produced on May 11th, with today being May 18th. And they did provide a response to our comments. So we do have that in terms of our analysis set forth today. With that, it was still unable to make a forward recommendation because they did not identify the discrepancies in a manner that satisfied staff at this time.
Chair.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, I guess that I was wanted to touch on that as well, regards to the discrepancies. They are the one responsible to submit all the, to finalize anything regarding to boundaries.
Correct. So the application is made by the applicant. We are just a reviewing body. We just put forward our comments off of what is in association for the code and the land development, the future land use element. So those two coinciding with these two cases are what we analyze it off of. When they have deviations, we did make remarks and gave them an opportunity to rectify those. However, they did not accomplish that at this time.
Okay, so how does that impact our decision? So because you're saying you're not able to make any, decisions or recommendations based on the fact that there is the discrepancy, how then we are asked to make a decision knowing that there's a discrepancy there?
That is something that you can factor into your determination at this time for how you want to put forward your vote. The things that I would concentrate on specifically are the overall request itself, what the request is in concert with the two different future land uses that are proposed, or that are with this actual property versus the one that was proposed to change, and then these comprehensive plan goals here and whether or not it satisfies these and furthers these.
Okay. And in terms of the applicant not being in attendance, is it something that we knew ahead of time, or?
We learned that approximately 2 minutes before the meeting.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Chair, if I may make a couple of comments about this. Number one is, first of all, the applicant is aware of these shortcomings, and the staff has informed them. Can you hear me now? Okay. The applicant was certainly aware of these shortcomings. Staff obviously let them know. The applicant could have requested a continuation. Staff could have requested a continuation. We, this board, can vote to continue this case, which I certainly have no intention of doing, by the way. But all right, folks, please. The thing about it is as far as staff not being able to make a recommendation, it doesn't matter. Their recommendation doesn't carry, a requirement on our part. We don't have to listen to their recommendations. We can agree with them, which most of the time we do. We can disagree with them, which sometimes I do. But it's not as far as hearing this case, it's not their recommendation is not a requirement for us to hear this case. So that's where we stand.
Any other questions for staff from the board?
Madam Chair, I just have really a brief inquiry for the board, and I'll ask it through you. I'm feeling uncomfortable, and I want to share that with the board. I can't, in good faith, go through this process with the idea that there is no way I can reach a point that I recommend this case for approval to City Council when I don't have a complete application to judge, even though the packet was 643 pages. Excuse me, folks. Excuse me, please. I processed 643 pages, and what I found was an incomplete application. I don't want to say that I've made up my mind, because I certainly haven't. I came here tonight to hear both sides of the case. And I'm hearing, I won't be able to hear a for, unless there's one amongst this red-shirted audience. We will hear a significant amount of against, and at the end of the day, we're going to get to the point as a board, there's going to be a request for a motion to either recommend for approval by council or to recommend for denial to council. We're talking about an incomplete application. I just don't know where we're at from an order perspective on how prudent it is to carry on with this at this point, because truthfully, what conclusion is anyone on this board going to reach with the mechanics that we just described, with what we plan to do here?
I'm going to defer to the city attorney.
Thank you. As far as this first item that is on the agenda, what you have is a request to change the comprehensive plan, which is a legislative action. Essentially, no one's entitled to any certain land use. We have a comprehensive plan, and it says this is what you're entitled to do. The applicant says, I want to do something else. I believe it's consistent with the comprehensive plan, and I believe it's going to meet some of the goals that the city has. When you're asking for a comprehensive plan amendment, the applicant has the burden of proof. The applicant was well aware of this hearing. It was noticed, and they had an opportunity to be heard. That's what, as far as a legislative proceeding, that's all the due process that is required. But not only do you have the applicant that has some due process rights, there are a number of people sitting out here that filed notice that they were an adversely aggrieved affected party. They received that notice. They are here to have an opportunity to speak. To the extent that you allow the applicant to essentially make a mockery of this process, they don't want to come before you and ask for a continuance, present their reasons, and get a ruling from you. So they voluntarily abstended themselves from this process to stop it. Before, I became the city attorney, I started off in criminal law. I was a defense attorney. I worked for the public defender's office. A defendant decided at the day of trial not to come forth. The judge didn't say, well, you know what? We're going to continue the trial. The person was tried in abstention. They had an opportunity to be there. They voluntarily waived it. We are all here. Everybody got notice. If they wanted an opportunity to be heard, they could be heard. So I think it does a disservice to the people that have came here. They didn't agree with it, but they came to many meetings, and what we told them, hey, for about a month, I've seen several of you at various council meetings. It's not before the board. You'll have your day. You'll have your day. This is a day. And when you're dealing with the comprehensive plan, yes, it's always good to know what staff wants, but what we say is a comprehensive plan is a vision for the city. You all can listen to these residents. You all can look at the materials there. Is this something that fits what you believe the vision of the city should be? Does it fit the goals of what the city should have? Is this plan going to offer a benefit to the city? If it does, you recommend it to council. If after hearing this, you say, no, it doesn't, you recommend denial and we move on. But otherwise, what you have is, you have a whole bunch of people come and they say, well, no. And then you keep having this and you keep having this until they get frustrated and decide not to come. And that's not fair to anyone.
Absolutely. Madam Chair. Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
So we're clear to go ahead with these proceedings and hear
Yes, we did.
the audience.
We heard nothing. I did offer the option because I did tell them that, since they decided not to come, that the hearing was going to continue. If they wanted to, they could withdraw the application. They have not, as of yet, withdrawn the application. So it's certainly my recommendation to the board that we proceed.
Madam Chair, may I ask one more clarifying question, please?
Okay.
Thank you. Ma'am, I'm going to share with you right in the wide open that I desire to make a motion right now to recommend this application for denial based on the premise that we have incomplete information. I desire to do that. I desire to seek a second from that. And then through the regular rules of order, it is up to this board to have the public speak on an item before we vote on it. I would like to do that to, right off the jump, frame this conversation for what it is. That would be the motion, if seconded, and we entertain it. Then the speaking would be in support of or in denial or against that particular motion, which again, in this hypothetical example, is denial of this application, because I don't want anyone thinking that we're going through this process with not a predetermined direction, because from everything we've just talked about, we know what we want to do. We have goals. We want to take care of these citizens that came. I share that goal. I do not want to silence any of these folks. They've come. We should hear them. But I don't even want them to come up and speak until we've covered the pretense that they're not you know, in the fight of their lives like they felt they are because of this situation that we're in and because of, to use your words, ma'am, the mockery that this applicant has made of this process. I want to take control as a fellow citizen of all these folks of this process for them. Am I in my right to do that, ma'am?
Certainly, the applicant has waived their right to be here, and you'd be hard pressed to vote to approve this. But certainly, one of the things as far as how the order of the meeting proceeds, the person that has the control of how this meeting proceeds isn't me. It's your chair. So I think that would be a far better question, you know, for her if that's how she wants to proceed. Certainly, everyone here understands, and one of the things that I at least try to do is just, you know, this play it straight, and I call fouls and strikes as I see them. Yes, they have the burden of proof. They're not here. There's nothing here. You'd be hard pressed to recommend it. But certainly we're going to hear the people. We have an agenda, and so it's all a matter of how the chair would like to proceed. I don't think that anybody is under any misinterpretation about what the standard is and our willingness to hear them out. So I would certainly defer to the chair how she would like to proceed.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you. Madam Chair.
I think that we'd like to proceed in normal procedure and have the people speak. We will proceed with this presentation and have the people speak that are on the first agenda, the first speaker cards. So would Matt Russ come to the podium? State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Matt Russ. Is there a?
Do you have a?
Is that better? Okay.
There you go.
My name is Matt Russ. I live at 2130 Winbrook in Summerfield subdivision. I was asked to. That's okay. Dan, that's okay. We don't need the slides. Okay. I'll be eating it here in a second. I was asked to give a little history, and sometime in the mid-1990s, members of a management team of the city of Palm Bay agreed to support a proposal by Ben Jeffries to develop a planned golf course community designed after what was successful in Vieira, in an area of Palm Bay fondly called the Donut Hole, which had been acquired from GDC. The foresight of those in city management at the time has resulted in a very successful, desirable residential, commercial, and institutional area of Palm Bay known as Bayside Lakes, and has taken a giant step in addressing some of the stigma that came to the city through GDC. They say, build it and they will come. Well, thousands have invested tens of millions of dollars in Bayside Lakes, as has commercial and institutional. The main draw for Bayside Lakes is the Majors Golf Course, designed by Arnold Palmer. The result is the largest concentration of $500,000 plus homes in Palm Bay. Land was allocated for schools, a Brevard Government Center, as well as Palm Bay Public Works site for drinking water. The Majors Golf Course is green space providing recreational and social outlet for the public, and to confirm the Majors is a public course open to all. There are golf leagues for women, men, couples, providing friendship and camaraderie, which should be the goals of building a thriving community. The course has supported boys and girls golf teams at Bayside Lakes and Heritage High School with training and play facilities, as well as hosting several high school competitions. The course also hosts charity fundraisers for local church ministries, Three Angels, Palm Bay Parks and Rec, American Legion, youth programs, aid to animals, etc., averaging more than one per month. You have a decision to make regarding the zoning of the Majors Golf Course. Do you vote to change and risk destroying the community that you wanted to create with Bayside Lakes and become a GDC all over again? Or do you affirm and support the decisions of thousands of your citizens who risk investing in Bayside Lakes for a high quality of life and leave the zoning as it is? We hope it's the latter. So the rest of the team that'll follow me will have more specifics to support our request. Thank you.
Thank you, Russ. Can you hold it down? Daniel Corcoran. The next one up will be Phil.
Good evening. Good evening, Daniel Corcoran, 2124 Winbrook Drive. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight in opposition of CP 13-2022. I will cover two topics tonight. Number one, the comprehensive plan, future land use maps, and what they mean to me. And number two, defects found in this applicant's proposal. On the future land use maps, they are a protection to homeowners and represent a commitment from the city as to how the land is to be used. I relied on this commitment as part of my decision to settle in Palm Bay. Many of us paid premiums to enjoy what we thought would be the long-term benefit of living in a highly regarded golf course community. We took comfort in the fact that the golf course property, the land use, is designated as rural single family, with the expectation that if any future development would ever follow, it would only consist of well-spaced single family homes with values similar to ours. I would think the right number is 38. 190 acres divided into 5-acre lots equals 38 homes, not 367. Let's be clear, we want the golf course to remain, but rural single family property is scarce and should be reserved for high-end homes, the demand for which is increasing as more professionals move to Brevard County to work in the growing aerospace hub. I ask you, why should we allow this developer to turn this premium property into ordinary property? Please hold it for a developer willing to bring us a community that fits the premium label assigned to it in Palm Bay's comprehensive plan. Moving to item number 2, this developer's application is incomplete. Their callous, indifferent, and dismissive CPP meeting on March 21st is indicative of their cut every corner and take the benefit of every doubt submission. I entered into the record a letter I wrote on May 2nd identifying 13 CPP grievances, none of which have been answered. There are more deficiencies I'll cover if we get to the second presentation, but I want to call your attention to 37 defects that were identified by the growth management team that are shown in their staff technical report. Just take a peek and you'll find serious problems with the plan. You can tell that they took a map of the property and simply sketched in as many homes as they could justify. The land borders do not fit. They have disregarded the green space requirements, ignored key calculations, and they have no way of implementing a compliant stormwater plan. They brought to us an incomplete application stating that it needs to be approved quickly. They want to skip over the mandatory questions and refuse to even acknowledge the hard questions. I say not so fast. The P&Z board is in place to address and protect the interests of Palm Bay and its residents. This proposal is not compliant. The application has not done the work required to gain approval. I ask the board to do the right thing for the people of Palm Bay. Reject the future land use change request submitted by this applicant. Thank you.
Do we have Phil Corcoran next?
Okay, I need a slide ahead here. Just push the button.
Can't hear you.
Okay. Thank you, board, for hearing us out tonight. We spent a lot of time on this.
Can't hear.
We can't
Okay.
hear you.
How's
Would
that?
you
Is that
state your
better?
name and address for the record?
Hi, Philip Corcoran, 1878 Winbrook Drive. Thank you for hearing our concerns. The management of the majors has let us know that they believe the business is not sustainable as a golf course. To that end, we have found a buyer that is interested in buying the property and continuing to run it as a golf course. So what I'd like to do is introduce Dan Carter. He's down here in the front. Dan, if you would please just stand up. Let everybody know that you're real. And we're interested in keeping this as a golf course. Dan's group, which is ITG Capital, they own and operate 5 facilities in Florida as golf courses. And if my conversations with him indicate that they're very profitable. Okay, here is the map that BSE consultants created. And what I've done is I've overlaid the conservation easement. So last week, we took the Coulter proposed layout and overlaid the conservation easements from the plat and highlighted them in yellow. As you know, conservation easements can never be disturbed, not ever. But the Coulter plan shows roads, houses, and ponds all located in the conservation areas. Clearly, very little analysis was done. Okay, no, I don't think that's me. So anyways. Okay, I'll just work without it. Doesn't matter. On May 12th, BSE Consulting sent a response to the City of Palm Bay concerning the staff report, which was released on May 11th. Quoting, while the opportunity to address staff comments is appreciated, being given 24-hour deadline to do so seems unfitting. Well, this is the same outfit that allowed less than 48 hours notice to the CPP meeting on March 21st. Their letter arrived at some homeowners' residence on the day before the meeting, so they really shouldn't complain. Further, BSE Consulting claims that they had been told that they did not need detailed plans. Well, it looks like they came up with almost no plan. And quoting them, we feel it is important to let you know that the rezoning application submitted in January of 2022 was done so after several conversations with planning staff. We understand staff has changed and you were either not employed with the city or not part of those discussions. Due to the high visibility of the project, previous staff indicated that detailed preliminary plans would not be necessary, and we agreed. We feel that what was initially submitted was in accordance with those conversations. So they're basically throwing the ex-employees under the bus. So now the Planning and Zoning Board, as Mr. Ozlowski, sorry if I blew your name, Randall, said, you're being asked to make a decision on a plan that has no concrete details, none. Clearly the conservation easements cannot be violated, so even the number of homes is not accurate in their description. Obviously, it is in the interest of the developer to be as vague as possible. They cannot be held responsible for anything except the things that have been documented. This puts the citizens of Palm Bay at risk. We, the citizens, understand how overwhelmed and overworked the city workers are. We see them at meetings sometimes until after midnight. They have been most accommodating to me and the members of our citizen opposition team. Yet they will be asked to take the time to evaluate a plan which consists of little more than an overlay map with the maximum number of houses that could possibly be just penciled in. This wastes city resources, citizens' tax dollars. It is my understanding the application fee for this project was about $2,000. Many hundreds of people hours were consumed in the city government so far on this project. Something is out of balance when a developer can throw something at the wall to see what sticks, risking only $2,000. The process we have seen in action here so far is mostly considerate of the developer's right to apply, but does nothing to protect the interest of the city and its residents. I'd like to thank Chandra, Alex, Ms. Sherman, Jesse, Frank, and Natalie, and the whole team for helping us through this difficult time. Thank you.
Marie Corcoran is next, followed by Ann Davis.
Marie Corcoran, 2124 Windbrook Drive, Palm Bay. We have all read disturbing articles over the last 5+ years about the negative health and environmental impacts that arise due to the use of a variety of chemicals on the golf course. These chemicals can run off and get into our water systems, and they do. They can affect the water supply and can also make rezoning a golf course to a residential community a very risky venture. All golf courses contain arsenic and other contaminants in various amounts. Arsenic is an odorless, tasteless contaminant that has been linked to a number of cancers, including bladder, lung, skin, and kidney, according to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Through the years, arsenic has been found at more than a dozen Florida golf courses, the result of a variety of herbicides and pesticides being used over time. If the Coulter Home project is to proceed, they should be required to remediate the site according to Florida's 62-780 law, so the concentration of these constituents of concern are low enough to be safe for residential land uses. We believe that the soil samples taken from the major's golf course was not sufficient, as many of the samples were taken around the driving range area and not on the greens and other areas of the golf course where these contaminants are usually found. Because of the location of the soil samples taken, the residents are not convinced that future homeowners who happen to build a home on this piece of land, should the city pass it, are safe. This is a huge risk to the people of Palm Bay and to the city, as well as to the residents who surround the golf course when the water runoff containing the contaminants goes onto their property. We strongly suggest that the city require an independent third party, not associated with either the seller or the developer, be hired to perform a detailed sample study before proceeding with any future future land use. Please protect the future residents of Palm Bay, as well as the current residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan?
Hello, my name is Ann Davis. I reside at 123 Ridgemont Circle. Bayside Lakes was planned as a prestigious development that revolved around a main center, which is the golf course. We believe that the residents of Palm Bay and the citizens of Palm Bay will suffer damages if the city approves the developer's request for a future land map change. Here, I'm just going to outline, this is the purpose of 185-005. I'll work back toward this toward the end. I've been a resident of Palm Bay for 37 years. Palm Bay had in the past and continues to struggle with its reputation of being a lower end place to live. Unfortunately, Palm Bay had a lot of GDC homes, and back in the day, 20 years ago, building Bayside Lakes was one of the first steps that the county was trying to do in order to change that reputation and to try and attract higher end clients away from Melbourne and in the Atlantic. There are a lot of STEM jobs, and we're getting more and more aerospace jobs here. And Bayside Lakes was built because we wanted to offer something different. And we really believe that changing the future land use is going to tarnish those steps we've made and propel us backwards. Damages. Bayside Lake home values have truly been uplifted because the planned unit development was designed, advertised, and built around the Crown Jewel Arnold Golf Course. So the impact of abolishing this golf course and rezoning it to allow for this high density housing will financially impact not only the homeowners who live directly on the course, but the homeowners of the entire Bayside Lakes community, consisting of 16 HOAs. Unfortunately, it will also lower the future appeal. Palm Bay doesn't have a lot of things to attract people to Palm Bay, and the golf course is one of them. And if we remove the golf course, we truly are reducing the prestige factor of living in Bayside Lakes, which is going to cause a financial damage to the businesses and the homeowners who chose to invest in this section of our city. I quickly did some research. In 2022, there was a group of studies that show that frontage on golf courses typically averages about 15 to 30% higher by living on a golf course or in a golf course community. Now, I did some analysis, and this is just of Summerfield. So Summerfield consists of about 163 homes at this time. And I went on the Zillow and kind of looked up average home values, and there's some in the 400s, but there's actually a couple that are $1 million and in the 800s and higher. So I chose 550K. So if you were to take the 550K times 163 existing homes, and let's say they took a hit of 20%, that's $18 million for just the Summerfield residents. Can you imagine the impact to the 16 other communities if we remove the crown jewel from this area? In conclusion, based on what we read on the report, we just believe that the request is going to increase our congestion on the streets. It's going to discourage the most appropriate use of land and resources. It will increase our overcrowding on the land based on their proposed recommendation. It will decrease our home values and pretty much damage the prestigious community Bayside has worked so hard to create. It will decrease our safety from fire, and it also will negatively impact all of the other infrastructures, such as traffic, sewage, drainage, sanitation, schooling, etc., overall decreasing our standard of living. And we believe that this does not meet the intent of the 185-005. So the request as it stands today is in contradiction of the city zoning's code that swears to protect, preserve, and improve the public health, safety, order, appearance, convenience, and welfare of the inhabitants of our city. So with that, I would like to state that abolishing the golf course, the crown jewel of Palm Bay, is not in lockstep with making Palm Bay the greatest city on the face of the earth. It actually will be causing us to take a step backwards. We need more crown jewels, not less. And I request that you please do the right thing for the citizens of Palm Bay and reject this request to amend the future land use. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have Greg Mills, please?
Hello, my name is Greg Mills. I live at 613 Flowerwood Drive in Stonebriar. I've lived there about 3 years. I decided to move back to Palm Bay and specifically Bayside Lakes after I retired from 24 years in the Air Force. I lived over in Bridgewater for 4 years, and it was thrown together in 2007-ish timeframe by Miranda Homes, and they were selling them like Cracker Jack houses to get rid of them. And the whole time I lived there, they considered Bayside, or they considered Bridgewater the ghetto of Bayside. And honestly, when I tell people where I live, I tell them I live in Bayside Lakes. I don't tell them I live in Palm Bay because there's a negative connotation. So if you take away the golf course, obviously it's going to make it look even worse. But we're going to talk to you about the golf course viability. Back in January of 2020, Joy LLC bought the golf course, and the day they closed on the golf course, they said it's for sale. The day they closed, they said it's for sale. There's a lot, and shortly thereafter, she said that it's not sustainable. There's a whole bunch of golf courses in the state of Florida, and there's specifically 5 in Melbourne. There's 11 being built currently in the state of Florida in various locations. If golf courses weren't sustainable or viable, they would quit building them. We believe The problem with the Majors golf course has nothing to do with the golf course being sustainable or viable, and it has everything to do with the management of the golf course and not knowing what they're doing. Obviously, the return on investment of selling the golf course would be a lot greater than keeping the golf course and making $100,000 profit a year, because that's about what a golf course makes in a period of 1 year as a net profit. Melbourne has 7 golf courses, a performing arts center, a zoo, Wickham Park, the sports complex here in Palm Bay. We got a golf course in Turkey Creek. We're the 5th largest geographic city in the state of Florida, and we have 2 major recreation outlets. We have a greater population than the city of Melbourne. It should be noted that Port Malabar Golf Course was shut down 17 years ago, and less than half of that has been developed on into single-use homes or anything else because of the arsenic that was found. So that being said, abolishing the Majors golf course at Crown Jewel of Palm Bay is not in lockstep with making Palm Bay the greatest city on the face of the earth. It actually calls this to take a step backwards, and we need more Crown Jewels in Palm Bay, not less. Let's make sure we do the right things for the citizens of Palm Bay. Next, sorry, they got me on twice. Neighborhood compatibility. This one's even better. Right now, Culture Homes is talking about putting similar homes around what we have. They also are talking about, we want to know, is it a negative effect on surrounding communities? Well, let me explain something. This estimate on this house is $845,000. They're going to put a $300,000 house beside it. This estimate on this house is $1.25 million. It sits on the 3rd green. Culture Homes plans on putting a small pond and a $300,000 house right behind it. If you look up on Zillow right now, this house has 74 pictures, and it's probably one of the most beautiful houses I've seen in the area in a long time. It's got a staircase that goes from the pool up to the 2nd floor balcony right to the pool table. It is a beautiful house. Could you imagine if your backyard was a preserve or a golf course or a greens or the beach and somebody filled it in and put a house? These are the typical houses that Culture is talking about putting in. That's the house that's going to be behind it. Culture is talking about putting in roughly 1,600 square foot houses. In Summerfield alone, most of the houses range around 2,000 plus square feet. I'm the president of the Stonebriar HOA, which abuts the golf course as well. All of our houses per our mandates are over 2,000 square feet. People are already leaving. They're scared that you're going to take it away. I mean, this is only one of 2 green spaces in the entire area. And like I said, we're the 5th largest geographic city in the state. Next, please.
Do we have Tom Christ?
Hi, my name is Tom Trist. I live at 973 Easterwood in Summerfield. We have concerns the proposed rezoning change would have on stormwater infrastructure supporting the Bayside area. These are pictures of the canal system after a large rain event. Currently, areas of Summerfield along Windbrook struggle with backup of sewage into bathrooms after heavy rainstorms. Stormwater is infiltrating the sewage system, and the issue has not been resolved. Also, during these periods of heavy rain, the area around Lift Station 82 has a strong outhouse type odor. This issue has not been able to be resolved either. The proposed zoning change would exacerbate this situation and raise serious health concerns for the residents. The golf course and its natural areas provide a large area for water absorption and retention. These are pictures of the golf course retaining and processing the water from a major rain event. Even with that, during heavy rainfalls like Tropical Storm Faye in August of 2008, and the storm of October 2nd, 2017, The stormwater canals were overly taxed, as seen in the pictures on the previous slide. The proposed zoning changes would eliminate the large areas of absorption and retention and add more impervious surfaces, roofs, streets, sidewalks. These would dramatically increase runoffs into the canals and into the yards of the homes along the golf course, significantly increasing their risk of flooding. This slide shows the FEMA flood map for the area of the golf course and surrounding areas. The orange shading indicates a flood zone. As you can see, most of the golf course is in a flood zone, indicating it is at a lower level than the surrounding area. In other words, a natural holding area for water. The homes around the golf course are built in very close proximity to the golf course. These pictures show how close the homes are to that property line. The elevation and drainage designs of the homes around the golf course were based on the presence of the golf course, not a development with elevated homes. The removal of the golf course and installation of 367 new homes and the accompanying vehicle and pedestrian infrastructures will significantly increase the risk of drainage issues and flooding damage to the homes. We encourage you to reject the rezoning request based on the significant increase of flooding risk to the property and homes and the lack of any proper mitigation plans and designs submitted by the developer that can be evaluated prior to granting such a community impacting request. Thanks a lot.
Paul Stedman.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Paul Stedman. I live at 282 Broyles Drive Southeast. Bayside Lakes has two main roads running through it. Bayside Lakes Boulevard runs east and west. Eldron and Cogan runs north and south. They service the traffic of 16 communities. They are used by service vehicles and traffic from neighboring areas. Bayside Lakes is now no longer a destination, but also serves as a pass-through for a growing surrounding residential area. Most of Bayside Lakes traffic travels north, which gets progressively heavier. Emerson Drive is the only 4-lane northbound road. All others are 2-lane. There are a few east and westbound roads that would allow traffic dispersion. Expansion to additional lanes is pragmatically unfeasible. So that leaves most of the traffic concentrated on Bayside Lakes Boulevard and Emerson. Entering Bayside Lakes from Emerson, there is a sudden sharp curve that catches you almost unaware. This is a dangerous curve that has seen several accidents resulting in 2 fatalities and 4 serious injuries. The other roads are curvy as well and require careful, alert driving, especially during heavy rush hour traffic. Speeding is a continuing problem, exceeding 50 miles per hour. Recently, there was a rollover accident at the intersection of Bayside Lakes Boulevard and Cogan. Safety is a huge concern to us. Traffic in Bayside Lake continues to increase. The ongoing or soon to start building projects for new residential communities, it totals close to 1,500 new units. These additions will have a tremendous impact on the traffic in Bayside Lakes alone. "367 Coulter homes will add about 3,400 daily trips onto Bayside Lakes Boulevard. The current average daily traffic is 15,000. The maximum daily capacity is 37,000. This capacity matches actual daily traffic of Malabar and Palm Bay roads near I-95. Bayside Lakes Boulevard is not made for this volume of traffic. Coulter's main entrance is planned approximately 200 feet within Summerfields, which is way too close. It is dangerous as it is close to the hazardous curve, even with widened turn lanes. A 25% increase onto Bayside Lakes Boulevard will dramatically increase congestion. With increased traffic plus location of entrances will make an already dangerous road worse. With a city population of 120,000 residents, with this rezoning proposal, this change does not make sense. Thank you.
Could we have Marie Ramsey?
Marie Corcoran, Winbrook Drive. Lisa Barber has COVID, so I'd like to present her portion, if I may.
Okay. Have you already filled out a comment card?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, okay. Yeah, they see.
The public elementary schools within the town have overcrowded classrooms, strained teacher administration staff, and they will need additional buses with the additional students, which will include added traffic and wait times. The cumulative housing developments approved and pending as of 5/11 are numerous. As you can see, Osprey has 750 to 800 residential units, Bayside Landing 123 residential units, and on and on. The grand total, if the rezoning is approved with 367 additional units, the grand total is going to be at least 1,439 to 1,489. The citizens of Bayside Lakes are concerned that these subdivisions are being evaluated and approved sequentially as standalone communities without recognizing that by their proximity to one another, they're robbing all the capacity from each other, leaving nothing in reserve. While we recognize that public schools in Palm Bay fall under the cognizance of the public schools of Brevard County, we believe that the City Council and Planning and Zoning departments should be evaluating each new development with a vision in mind. If the city is not thinking with the end in mind, the citizens of Palm Bay will be paying the price. Well-managed growth should preserve the quality of education in any development area. In far too many instances, sprawl and other forms of poorly managed growth have become an obstacle to providing our children with a quality education. The addition of up to nearly 1,500 residential units and counting in that part of Palm Bay will only add to the already monumental challenge. Traffic, schools, and safety go hand in hand. Additional vehicles on the already overcrowded roadways will have a detrimental effect on our children. There will be additional cars, trucks, and buses on our streets from these new subdivisions, adding risks to many students who live close by and walk to school. We're asking you to vote no. Abolishing the major golf course, the crown jewel of Palm Bay, is not in lockstep with making Palm Bay the greatest city on the face of the earth. In actuality, it will be causing us to take a step backwards. We need more crown jewels in Palm Bay, not less. Please do the right thing.
Okay. Is Marie Ramsey speaking? Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm Marie Ramsey, and I live at 1878 Winbrook Drive. Because time is tight here, I want you to consider what's most important to you and yours on my topic, community, community golf course, and the community clubhouse. And I want to stress the word community. With you and all of your constituents having experienced the ravages of COVID, we all understand what a blessing a place to gather is. The clubhouse is a haven for the community of golfers, including teens, for those celebrating weddings, birthday parties, graduation parties, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you are part of that community. It's a haven for teens. Where will Bayside Lakes School send their golf team? Or worse yet, one more healthy outdoor activity eliminated. As a retired school teacher and a behavioralist, this is not good. My final point, and I will be brief, your charity events. They really do make a difference, zoning board. My late husband, Lacey, was a 10th Mountain World War II vet. And yes, he robbed the cradle, and yes, his name was Lacey. He fought in northern Italy in the second D-Day on the Gothic Line. He had terrible PTSD. He learned to golf at 33, was a scratch golfer, 7 holes in 1, and he played every charity event he could for the Veterans Associations and for animals. This is just my personal experience. What will you do with the charity events that do wonderful things for Palm Bay? And God knows we need it. Pick one of the events, board members listed, and tell me how each one of you and yours has been affected by that event. And what is listed is only 40% of what goes on. Community. If you plow this course under and proceed with land use changes, you'll be eliminating a venue which has helped all of the Palm Bay citizens, you and yours. Where will you be sending them? I will conclude with this. What you have here is a jewelry box designed by Arnold Palmer, and the name is a mark of excellence. In that jewelry box, folks, there's something for everyone: students, golfers, brides, mourners, graduates. This course in your community means that you are a bigger part of the story. Arnold and Winnie's motto was securing the future through charity and caring, improving the planet and the lives of the people on it. Are we serving the legacy of Mr. Palmer by plowing it under? Can you answer this question? Remember, there is a you in the word community.
Could we have Robert Stice, followed by Bonnie McGee?
Good evening. Thank you for your time. First, I'd like to back up a step on the figures with regard to the accidents or fatalities at Summerfield. Oh, I beg your pardon. Robert Stice, 1796 Winbrook Drive Southeast. I'm also the president of Summerfield HOA. Bayside Lakes, in the last 5 years, has had 5 deaths and at least 9 property damages. The figures you got previously were for Summerfield. Bayside Lakes, with that kind of a figure, 5 deaths in 5 years, has gone from a dangerous road to a fatal road. Okay, you see traffic going at about 50 miles an hour. When my wife and I walked down Bayside Lakes Boulevard to the Tradition Cafe, we tucked behind the storage unit and in front of the golf course to get away out of traffic from these potential kamikaze drivers. You're not going to change the way people drive in Florida. So I just wanted to correct that. Bear with me, please. 5 years ago, my wife and I moved to Florida. We were looking for a place to spend the rest of our lives. We got more than we bargained for, such as the beach, great friends, a sense of community, as Marie Ramsey just stated, that I didn't have in Colorado, and a sense of peace that this city boy has rarely known. Now the infrastructure in my community is already straining. You have the traffic flow of the roads from Cogan, Elderon, and all 16 HOA communities are spilling out onto Bayside Lakes Boulevard. Cars are averaging, when Frank Watanabe went out there and I, about 50 miles an hour in a 40-mile-an-hour lane. And law enforcement just, there's not enough police. The last I heard from the previous city zoning meeting that we had 20 police officers in the system to be hired, of which 14 are going through training now. We just don't have the police to enforce this. Shopping is a struggle. If you haven't been to Publix or Walmart on a weekday, they're slammed. And on a weekend shopping trip also feels like being on the subway to me. Our law enforcement works very hard to keep our community safe, but as I indicated, Councilman Pete Filiberto and the Chief of Police mentioned in past council meetings that they're short. Basically, what you're doing here is if you take Stonebriar, which is in the finalization of 328 homes, and a proposal by Coulter Homes for 367 homes, what you have now is 697 homes right on top of everybody, okay? 2015 residents on top of the 2,500 residents plus that are already here. 2 autos per home, okay, which equals 1,390 vehicles. And let me mention that the exit and entrance for the proposal at Coulter Homes would be about 50 yards just south of the entrance to my HOA Summerfield, which you're going around a 90-degree turn. Okay, it's difficult when you see the drivers, and most of them have a cell phone in their hand, and they're trying to hit this 90-degree turn. The teens have a bet with one another trying to do it at about 85. Okay, we haven't been able to stop that in 5 years. Each of these conditions would only continue to worsen with the addition of the 67 homes. This number may not seem like much, but when you factor in a 328, it adds to everything as far as infrastructure. It adds to shopping, it adds to healthcare, trying to get in, it adds to recreation, it adds to pollution, and you start doubling the population, which we're looking to do in here almost overnight, it adds to crime. I know as a retired person, it's a little pretentious to come here today and talk about the golf course, but it's worth mentioning. What drew me and most others to this community was the golf course. While it would be sad to lose the golf course, I would be heartbroken to lose the green space to nature that it provides. I grew up in overcrowded apartments. I know what it's like to live on top of your neighbor. I chose this community for a sense of peace, stillness, openness that you can find right here. I partially agree with Mayor Medina. This can be one of the greatest cities on the face of the earth, but cities like this don't just happen. They take hard work to build and maintain from each member of the community, including the senior leadership and including you. To make it clear, this is a clear choice before us, a choice to preserve this unique place, not only for ourselves, but future generations to enjoy and to discover for themselves, or a choice to allow thoughtless expansion that will only lead to further overcrowding and gridlock. Let me be clear. I'm not against the development of this area. I just don't want to see thoughtless, haphazard, and greedy decisions ruin a place I have come to love. I hope you will partner with us today in voting to preserve this community and reject the rezoning proposal that would destroy Bayside Lakes. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Bonnie McGee.
I'm Bonnie McGee. I live at 1991 Thornwood Drive. Good evening, neighbors and members of our Planning and Zoning Board. Tonight, you've heard the many financial and economic components involved in our appeal to not rezone the Majors Golf Course. We've given you the data and the statistics, but I would now ask you to consider the non-financial element. Let's turn our focus now to the quality of life in Bayside Lakes area. The bottom line question is this: does the rezoning of the Majors Golf Course increase or promote a good quality of life in the Bayside Lakes community? Unlike data or statistics, quality of life is indeed much more subjective. We will define it now, tonight, as everything that makes a place worth calling home. Yes, Bayside Lakes is our home, and we value and treasure the quality of life for all our residents so that they can have what they need to survive and thrive. Any quality of life improvement should include the following: appropriate housing space, proper police and fire protection. We must have good traffic flow, access to good health care, public schools with room for enrollment, green recreation space, sufficient shopping for food and goods, and a peaceful environment for leisure and social interactions. All of these pieces need to be in place, and they need to be working in harmony with each other, and they need to grow together. We understand the city's desire to grow, improve, and develop. However, we need to remember that Bayside Lakes and the Majors Golf Course is one of the main attractions and destination spots for Palm Bay. It has attracted and retained population and boosted the recognition and reputation of the city. Some residents in the Bayside Lakes area moved here because of work or family or the golf course and the green space and parks. We each had different reasons, but quality of life is our common denominator. This is a place where people of all ages live. Why would we place the proposed 55-plus adult community in the middle of our well-rounded, well-planned, and well-loved community? The insights and perspectives we share with you tonight could never come from numbers, spreadsheets, or even our PowerPoint presentation. Making development decisions based on cold data and architectural renderings ignores the passion and the concerns that the people living in Bayside Lakes have about the place where they live. As the Planning and Zoning Board, your responsibility is to make sure that all of your economic development decisions count toward the larger goal of improving the quality of life in Bayside Lakes and keeping the city of Palm Bay the greatest city on the face of the earth. The future is unpredictable, but we can see today's obvious choice. Let's keep the quality of life in Bayside Lakes desirable. And board members, consider and reflect on what we have presented to you tonight and do the right thing for the people of Palm Bay. Vote no on the matter of rezoning the Majors Golf Club in Bayside Lakes. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the presenters for this concise presentation. We're now going to open the floor for any further comments. If you have anything different to say, you can come to the podium. If you have not filled out a comment card, you need to do so, and you're limited to 3 minutes. Again, if you have anything else to add to this presentation, the floor is open. Does anyone want to come forward? Ma'am? If you want to speak, come on towards the podium. I have 2 hands up.
Good evening. My name is Roger Cote. I live at 1785 Winding Ridge Circle. That's in Laurelwood. My home was one of the first homes built in Laurelwood, so I've been there a little over 19 years now. During my time there, I've served on the board and in various committees from time to time. Most recently, I'm on the art committee. That's the Architectural Review Committee. And we had a request, an emergency request by one of our homeowners to drill his well deeper, the well that's used to irrigate his lawn. His reasoning was why he was calling an emergency was because he ran out of water out of his well and his grass was dying. So we took up the review, and I found it strange because in all the years, over 19 years of living there, I've never heard of any one of our homeowners running out of water in one of his wells. Obviously, we approved the request, and he went out and drilled the well. A week after that was like 3 weeks ago, I learned from the water department that they have a alarm system to determine when the water level table gets low. Now, they have apparently most storage water is stored underground, and the alarm system will warn them if it gets low. And last week, for the very first time in history, the alarm sounded off that the water was at a critically low level. If you approve more building of single-family homes, all you're going to do is to impinge upon this resource that we have, and we very well end up having to ration water, as they do in some third world countries, where they turn the water on for one district for so many hours a day and turn it off and on for another district. So I think that this water issue is critical, and that you're getting ahead of the infrastructure that we have in place. That brought me to another point. I wanted to know who Joy LLC was. So I researched it and found that Joy LLC is a beauty salon in Pompano Beach, Florida. I questioned how a beauty salon could muster up the resources to buy a golf course at auction. It came clear to me that Joy LLC is strictly a front. Now, anyone that does business with anybody has a responsibility to do what's called due diligence. And I think you have a responsibility to see who it is that you're dealing with. Obviously, you're dealing with somebody that's hiding behind a curtain. Can you trust that their submissions are accurate or truthful?
You need to wrap it up, sir.
Okay, and I'll point out, as your attorney told you, the burden of going forward and making a presentation is upon a petitioner, who is Joy LLC. If they don't show up, the case should be either dismissed or denied. Thank you. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Ruth Caulfield. I live at 935 Douglas Street Southeast, Palm Bay, Florida. I stand here in front of you to oppose the rezoning of the Majors Golf Course. I'm not going to repeat what has been said here. I do not live in the Bayside Lakes area, but I do shop, I do recreate there, I do and am a member of the American Legion there. So all of these things will be impacted by the rezoning of the golf course. So I want to just remind you of the current advertisement about the golf club. The Majors Golf Club at Bayside Lakes is an award-winning par 72 Arnold Palmer signature golf course located in Palm Bay, stretching 7,300 yards from back tees. The Majors is one of the most unspoiled semi-private golf courses on the Florida Space Coast. The coast was designed with enough challenges to test even the most avid golfer. Heralded as being one of the most pristine golf courses in Central Florida, the Majors boasts over 240 acres of gorgeous greens, lakes, preservation areas, and natural wetlands. Perfect scenery for a day of golf. The Major also provides a restaurant to refuel for a long day of golf and a clubhouse for all your specific event needs. This type of advertising is part of what brings new citizens to the city of Palm Bay for recreation and home ownership. The entire reason the Bayside Lake communities exist was to add another golf course to the area. Rezoning this golf course will cause all advertising to be false. The city of Palm Bay approved the zoning and projects specifically surrounding the golf course. Those homeowners will have the right to file lawsuits to recover damages caused by the owner of the Majors for seeking rezoning for selling said golf course to multifamily structure developer who will not have their best interests at heart, and the homeowners who purchased the property around the golf course did not do so because they wanted to view rental units from behind their house. The city of Palm Bay is also at risk for violating the trust of the citizens of Bayside Lakes by rezoning the golf course and causing the property values to decrease. Should the property values plummet because of the properties surrounding the golf courses change from the promises made by the city of Palm Bay to have their properties be adjacent to the golf course, the city of Palm Bay has a responsibility to each homeowner around the golf course to pay any differences to their property values and pay any expenses incurred to possibly sell said property due to the loss of the golf course through a possible decision to approve the rezoning. I personally would be negatively affected by the possible approval of rezoning the golf course because our current city cannot handle any more expansions of medium to large subdivisions or rental property projects.
Wrap it up, please.
The inability to properly process the impact to the community has caused schools to be overcrowded, police and fire services to be underfunded, stretched, and roads to be neglected.
Your time's up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, if you have anything additional that hasn't been mentioned before, if you need to fill out a comment card and leave it at the podium.
Okay. My name is Jimmy Backus. I just recently moved out in Palm Bay, but one of the major reasons why I moved out of here, I moved in this area, was because of the golf course. I was actually.
Can you state your address, please?
My address is 253 Gardner Road.
Thank you.
One of the major reasons I moved out of here in this area was because of the golf course. The golf course enhances the community. For me, it's the real beauty of Palm Bay. It gives Palm Bay life to it. A lot of the residents have been out here a lot more years than I do. I play golf on that golf course maybe 3 or 4 times a week. Taking the golf course away, I truly believe it's going to change the whole area of Palm Bay, not just in the area where Publix is and other places, but a lot of young people as myself that move in this area is really because of the golf course. Taking away the golf course, for me, it's really not a good deal. It would change the community, it would change the value of the community, it would change the value of the homeowners as well also. So for me, moving out in Palm Bay, as younger people move out in Palm Bay, well, middle-aged people move out in Palm Bay, is really because of the golf course. It really enhances the community. That's the lifeblood, I truly believe, of Palm Bay right there.
Thank you.
I'm gonna pull it up because that's it. My name's Richard Goolsby. I live at 1661 Algernon Boulevard, Southeast Palm Bay. And I'm only 4 houses away from Bayside. I just want you to close your eyes for just a second and imagine every person in this room
Some of the hair has turned gray, some of it's turned loose. And my thought is they've been saving their entire life, their entire working life to live on a golf course. That golf course not only affects the people that live next door to a golf course, but the people that live directly outside of it. My house is quadrupled because of what the golf course and what everything that's happened down at Bayside. But mainly the things are happening in Bayside because of that golf course. Now, if you look at all these people, they've got billions of dollars that they've saved. And you're going to take those billions of dollars and turn them into $100,000 because that's where we live. That's where we want to live. And that's what we've saved for our entire life. Not just for a few people, but our entire life. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lydia Barber, and I live at 1638 Falk Terrace Southeast. I've heard a lot of good things addressed this evening, but one thing I didn't hear mentioned was something I heard the city manager talk about some months ago, and that was the fact that the wastewater treatment plant was not serving the community well, in that it was discharging nitrogen back into Turkey Creek and back into the lagoon and causing damage, and that wastewater treatment plant needed to be replaced before anything else could be done to expand the availability of wastewater treatment for the community. So I haven't heard that addressed, and that to me is a big concern.
Thank you. We have comment cards from the following people. If you have anything additional and new to add, Roger Coate, Bob Hittner, Murfield Way, 1818. Ken Orr, Don Langhorn. Okay, thank you. Janet Orr, Ruth Kaufhold. Okay, I've got your card. John Hammond.
Yep.
Thank you. Anthony Cathay at 212 Brightgate. Anthony? Can't read it. Didn't write. Nope. Okay. If Anthony didn't want, if that's all for the comments, the floor is now closed for public comments, and the case will be brought back to the board for discussion. Okay.
May I?
Yes.
Here.
Phil.
A couple of things. All right. Number one, folks, this may disappoint you, but the city cannot require the owner of this golf course or anybody else to keep it as a golf course. They can't. It is already zoned rural residential with a small portion of it zoned multifamily. So can it be developed as rural residential? Yes, but at least those homes will be on 1 acre. They, it will reduce, certainly it will reduce the density from what is proposed now. I have a couple of concerns. Number one is that if this golf course is redeveloped as they're asking, will that reduce the value of your homes? As a real estate appraiser by profession, yes, it will. Okay. The thing about it is the golf course an amenity to the city? Yes, even though the vast majority of the 120,000 plus residents of Palm Bay don't play golf, it is still an amenity to the city. But as I said, the city can't require it to stay as a golf course. But the other main concern that I have, and that's something that you expressed, is traffic on Bayside Lakes Boulevard and Eldron and Emerson. As we all know, there've been a lot of accidents on Bayside Lakes Boulevard, including, the death of one young boy on a bicycle. That concerns me with the projects that have already been approved, that are already underway, regardless of what the traffic engineers say, as far as, the amount of traffic that the road can handle, level of service. That concerns me, especially with the proximity to the high school that we're at right now. So it is if for no other reason than that, I make a motion to deny this comprehensive plan change.
Second.
Okay. We have- Are there any further comments before we?
Yes, I'd just like to add, thank you for making that motion. I was going in the same direction. I just want to say kudos to the organizers of this community. Your message was strategic. It was organized. You delivered well. And I didn't hear not in my backyard, right? I heard real detailed information that allows us not to look at emotions, but be practical and be realistic of what really makes sense in this city. Does it match with our comprehensive plan? And the answer is no. So I am definitely voting no for this, and I want to thank you so much for being smart about what you do. You didn't come unprepared. You came here with information to make it easy for us to make a good decision for our city.
Any further comments from board?
Yes,
Rayner?
Madam Chair. I'm going to echo the same thing. I felt as though that you all came out, you really represented the city, you really represented yourselves well. I mean, I just sitting up here and listening to each and every one of those comments. I mean, I've taken a lot of notes. And again, like my colleague just said, it wasn't about this is just in my backyard type thing. You came with points, you brought those points, and I really appreciate the fact because you really made this very a lot easier to sort of say. So to come to a decision, but I do feel the same way. I feel as though that this do not work for that community. I know Bayside Lakes well. I remember when it first got developed, when it first came about, it was a city that was built for integrity. It was built to be beautiful. And to make all of these type of changes, I really believe it's going to change that integrity and it's going to change the landscape of what Bayside it actually is. Thank you.
John, any further comments?
No, I'm fine. I'd just like to echo what everybody else is saying. You guys have been great. Made our decision easy. Thank you.
I want to thank you too for the presentations. We wanted this to proceed so we could let you all have a voice.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a comment as well. So a lot of it's been said, but I know the rezoning, while it can be an emotional issue, I was proud to see the well-articulated and thoughtful facts regarding the citizens' concerns. Issues that are important, such as the congestion of traffic in the city, the home values, concerns for safety of the residents and children, and other effects that this high-density zoning change would do. So you showed out in force, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Okay.
Thank you. So, Madam Chair, I just do want to mention that, as I mentioned at the last meeting, I'm a stickler for the specificity of motions. So I want to share in the public so that it is record that the premise of my second isn't simply just to see this motion denied, but there is a reason, and that is specifically its lack of compatibility with the surrounding community. So I want that understood, that that's what I'm standing on my second. Whatever Mr. Weinberg's motion comes from, fine. But where I'm at is the lack of compatibility with the surrounding community. I do appreciate Mr. Weinberg for explaining to the fine folks that we can't control what comes into the city. All we can do is go through the process. And I want to share the appreciation and the gratitude as well for the organization for coming and understanding that we're simply here as stewards for all of you out there. We live in this community. This is our backyard. This is our community. This is our city. We're here to serve you, as is your city council. Understand this process continues after this. Understand and always come from the place that the folks that come up here on the dais or the self-made dais, we don't do this for fun. We do this because we want to give back to you. And I appreciate the opportunity to give back to you this evening. And I appreciate receiving your gratitude. So thank you. And thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. All right, without further comments, the motion's been made by Mr. Weinberg, seconded by Randall to do. There's no more discussion. All in favor to the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Folks,
Excuse me,
we still
we're
are
not
conducting the meeting.
finished.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Excuse me, we're not finished. Hold it down. We have another case. We have to announce PD 13-2022.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to recommend case PD 13-2022 for denial based upon the recommendation for denial of CP 13-2022.
Second. Chair, we don't need a motion or a second. The case is already dead. It can't be approved.
I believe we do. That's what we've been doing procedurally, but
I'm asking
Eric's
the
got to tell
attorney.
us. Mr. Attorney?
Where is he?
I can't hear you. Yeah. Folks, we're still conducting business.
Do we need to vote on this?
What's the question? I could not hear you. What's the question?
Do we need to have a motion and vote on this, or is it automatically denied?
Yes, you do need to vote on it.
Okay. All right.
I think
So we
Mr. Good
need-
did, Madam Chair. So I made a motion, seconded by
Okay.
Mr. Good.
Okay, we have a motion by Randall, a second by Mr. Good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
No other business? Adjourn.
Okay, the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you very much for your presentation.